Welcome to Access Europe for March. It is our 25th meeting since we started a couple of years ago, and I'm very pleased to welcome back Thomas Moeller, who gave us an excellent presentation on better access charts last year. And as soon as he'd got to the end of that, people said, "Can we have him back? We want more." So Thomas has done some more work, improved the software still further, and is now actually going to deliver to us the next generation. And there will be a survey, a very complicated survey for you to fill in later. 3 very short questions, which we're going to get live results using modern technology. Anyway, I'm going to let Thomas introduce himself. I'm going to mute myself, and welcome, Thomas. Take it away.
Okay, thank you for your kind words, and now we start. So, welcome to another presentation about better access charts. I've called it the next generation. As Colin said, I've optimized some things, and this should be worth for a new presentation. Shortly, something about me. My name is Thomas Moeller. I'm a graduated banker. I was a full-time Access developer for 13 years. I was honored to be an Access MVP for 10 consecutive years. And at the moment, I work as a project manager in my company in the finance industry. And if you like to contact me, there are many ways to do so. So please feel free to click one of these links. Or wait, you can't click them, but you can put the lens of your smartphone onto the QR code, and then you will be guided to a website where you can click the links. So it's absolutely easy to get in touch with me. The schedule, what do we have for the next couple of minutes? I have 5 chapters. The first one is called Divide and Conquer, and I will talk about why I decided to divide a monster class into 20 simple classes. The next chapter is named Pictures of You, and I will talk about how to take a picture from a chart from the web browser control to put it in a report. The third section is called You Are Fired. I worked on the idea to get rid of the HTML file, and I will tell you about my efforts. Living on the Edge is the chapter where I talk about the challenges with the new Edge browser control, and I can tell you I had a few of them. And at the end, the last chapter is called New Kids on the Block. I tell you what I did to adjust better access charts to run with the latest versions of Chart.js, the version 3 and 4. I kindly ask you to hold back your questions, and I'm prepared to take your question at the end of the presentation. And before we start, I would like to have a short survey. So Colin, please put in the link to the survey into the chat box.
Done.
And I will talk about the questions. There are 3 of them. Please fill out the survey. I heard about better access charts, yes or no. The second question is, I played around with it, yes or no. And the third one is, I used it in at least one project. I'm really interested in the numbers. And Colin, please give me a hint if you think most of the people have voted.
Okay, the link is in there, and we've already got 7 people have already responded. I'll leave it a bit longer. I can't remember how many people we've got in the meeting, but there are people responding.
We are 23.
Oh, good. Right, I'm going to share my screen in a second, and here we have the results so far. 14 responses. Average time to complete 11 seconds. Oh, slow readers, some of you. And we have then question 1 so far. 13 people have heard of it, 2 have not, but they're here anyway. Not so many have played around with them yet, and or even used it seriously. And the people who've used it in at least one project, I'm one of the 2 who has. And or turn on your microphone. It's me, Klaus.
I know the person. I think I know the person.
Yeah, it's Klaus Gundermann who has done so here. So, are you happy with that then, Thomas? All right, there's 15 responses. Is there anyone else still voting?
Okay.
I'll leave it open.
That is what I expected to see. Most people have thought about it, and only a few are using it. And this is interesting to me. There is an interest in better access charts, but no one is using it seriously. So yeah, I will think about later what this tells me about the project. And
it tells you, Thomas, it tells you everyone was waiting for your follow-up session. And it was definitely worth you doing.
So the first chapter is called Divide and Conquer, and how we divided a monster class into 20 simple classes. I will start with the initial situation. Up to version 1.34, there was one big class module. It has more than 1,000 lines of code, and we had 46 attributes in the class. The whole thing has developed over time, and you see a short piece of code, how it looks like if you code better access charts the old way. And this is a simple screenshot of how IntelliSense feels. And I think I show you in a demo how it feels if you try typing IntelliSense and having 46 attributes. My chart. When you are here, you have 46 attributes, and it's a little bit overcrowded, I found, and it's not easy to navigate through there. So this is what we had in the past, and I close this and close the database. I don't want to save anything. And this is some considerations: single module versus hierarchy of classes. When we have a single class module, yes, you only have to import one module of code into your personal database to get better access charts working. You can have different versions in the same database, but the namespace is overloaded with, at that moment, 46 attributes. And for me, as a developer, every property must be coded separately. On the other side, we have a hierarchy of class modules. And the downside is you have to import many modules, 20 of them, and different versions in the same database are not possible. But the pro arguments, coding is easier because IntelliSense gives you more sense of what's going on and what's possible. The code is, for my eyes, easier to read. For me as a developer, it's easier to maintain and expand, and I can reuse classes. I called it subclasses. For example, the font class, it's implemented 5 or 6 times, I think. and I only have one class module called font. So the hierarchy of classes, the code was broken down into 19 smaller class modules. And big thanks goes to Klaus-Dieter Gundermann. Klaus is here tonight. So please cheer for Klaus at the moment. He did the heavy work, and at the end, we came up with 20 modules. I've expanded the whole thing at the end to 78 properties now. And in total, we have 1,800 lines of code. This is the same code you saw before, but with the new class modules used. And from my eyes, it's easier to read because you can figure out more easily what the object is, what you are dealing with. This is how IntelliSense looks like for the data labels font properties. And let me give a short demo of this. I've prepared exactly the same thing to give you the same impression. And here we are. And my chart dot data labels. As you see, it's more cleaner here. There are way less attributes available. Data labels data labels has a font property, and the font has a family property. I can set this to Hungarian if I like to. So it's absolutely easy, way more easier to code this way. And for me, this was a great improvement. And did I say thank you to Klaus? So thank you again, Klaus, for your support on this topic. Is there a documentation? Yes, there is one. And the whole thing, all classes with all properties and all methods are fully documented. It's all available on GitHub. And I will move over to there to show you what's available. So you have the documentation for better access charts. You can use the chart property. And we were at the data labels. And the data labels have a font property. And the font, maybe we want to see something about the font weight. And here are possible values for the font weight. And the documentation goes down to the documentation of Mozilla.org. So you have a full overview of what's possible and what's in there. And nobody should get lost in this. The next chapter, pictures of you. How to take a picture from a chart and put it on a report. This is important for people who don't have a Office 365 subscription because the old web browser control is not available in reports. The solution, yes, we can load a picture in an image control. So we need a picture of the chart saved on disk. And for me, these were 2 steps to success, some conceptual considerations in front of, and then the concrete coding. Let's talk about my considerations. The main question was where to draw the chart. And the first idea was I can use a hidden form with a web browser control on it. And you see my arguments here. I will need an extra form. I will need an extra web browser control. And third, the name of the form and the name of the control have to be exactly as defined in better access charts. On the other side, I came up with the idea to fire up a hidden instance of the Internet Explorer. And the Internet Explorer is, to my knowledge, available on all Windows systems. it's supported. The support for Internet Explorer is until 2029, and it ends exactly with the support of the classic web browser control. So for me, this was a no-brainer. The obvious solution is use a hidden instance of the Internet Explorer, and so I did. Let me give you an overview how all the pieces work together. We have an Access database, we have our file system. In the Access database, we have a table with the data, we have a module, a report with an image control on it, and then the module grabs the data from the table, writes everything down in an HTML file. This is saved in the file system. Then the whole thing is loaded into a hidden instance of the Internet Explorer. There is a script tag, and it's guiding to better access to Chart.js in the cloud, and taking the library from a content delivery network. At the end, I take a picture and save it on disk, and this picture is loaded into the image control. The concrete coding, I needed 5 steps to reach the goal. The first one is start the Internet Explorer and load the chart. The second is get the canvas object and grab the image. I've decided to use an exclamation mark if no image is available. Then I need to convert the image into a byte array, and at the end I can save this byte array with a file system. So let's have a very short look at the concrete coding. And here we are. And I have to look for the right message. So I need to go back because I saved chart as an image. Okay. In these lines, I start the Internet Explorer, I load the chart file, and I wait until everything is set up properly in the Internet Explorer. Grab the canvas object, which is a part of the document property, and I can get it by the element ID, and I know the element ID because I've decided the whole designed the whole thing, so I know exactly how this element is named. It's named my chart, and the object has a property called a method called toData URL, and so I save a image into a string. If there is no image, I insert a string with a exclamation mark to let people to avoid an error message and let people know something went wrong. And this block I convert the image into a byte array. This is done by the msaccess library. And at the end, I open an AEU stream and bring in the right to the byte array, and the whole thing is saved to file, and that's the way it's coded. And you want to see it at work, and you can see it at work. We have a Access charts and database here, and I create a sample chart. And now I move over here for special approaches. This one here is an image control, and I want to show the chart in an image control. So I update the chart, and the whole thing is done. You see, it's working. So it's possible to have better access charts on a report when you are on a old version of Access and not have access to an Office 365 subscription. And I had some unexpected problems to solve. One of them was the chart doesn't fit. The problem, the full canvas of the Internet Explorer is used. And as you can see in this image, you can't read the legend or the title or the other texts. And the solution was to resize the Internet Explorer to exactly the same size of the image control. And when I did that, we now can read the text and everything works fine. The second problem is the chart was not drawn completely. And the problem I found out was the animation has not finished yet, and the solution was extremely simple. I had only to deactivate the animations when I would love to see the chart on an image in a report. So these were my efforts to put a picture of a chart into a report. And some of the efforts I did to get rid of the HTML file. I have to tell you again how everything works together. And you have seen these generally, and I start here. The module is grabbing the data from the table, and we save a HTML file in the file system. This one is loaded into the web browser control, and it makes use of the Chart.js library posted on the World Wide Web. And my effort was I wanted to get rid of this HTML file because it's not always named test HTML. There were some reasons to distinguish them. So at the end, I had a lot of files in the file system, and I thought there should be a way to get rid of this file. So my first try, the previous code, navigate to the HTML file. This is how it worked so far. The first command, create the chart file, and the second is I navigated to the HTML file, and that did the trick. And I could demo this, but that's nothing special. And the new way, I wanted to write the HTML code directly into the web browser. And I found a source where this was explained. And the code will look like this. You can take the web browser control, go to the object, and then the document property, and then open the document, write the HTML string into it, and close it again. And this was my solution, and I was happy with it. And this is how this works from a schematic view. And the whole thing is a little bit different. We grab the data from the table. Then I have a string with the HTML code in the memory. There is a script tag which is calling the Chart.js library. And the whole thing is loaded directly into the web browser control. So there is no HTML file. And I thought I'm ready. And I was really, really happy with it. And some weeks later, when I published this version, somebody reached out to me and said, that's not working. For me, it was working, but for him, it wasn't working. So I've had a deeper look and I found out that there are two variables to consider. One variable is the HTML source code. You can load it directly into the browser or load it from the file, as I did. And the second thing is, for the old web browser control, you needed to let the web browser control know that you want to see it work as a newer version of Internet Explorer. You can do this in two ways with a so-called directive. This is a line of code in the HTML file, or you can manipulate your registry. And this was true for me. I had manipulated my registry, so this worked for me, but cannot send out a database and ask people to make changes in their registry to get your database working. So this is not the optimal solution. The optimal solution is to use the directive, because this is code only. And the directive is not working if you load the code directly into the browser. So I have to go one step backwards and load it from the file again. Then, many months later, I thought again about the situation, and I had the idea to first write a very, very simple HTML file on disk and load this, and afterwards write the HTML code for the chart directly into the web browser. And this is how it's implemented. I create the empty HTML file, then I navigate to this file, wait until the web browser control is fine and everything is loaded. And after that, I write the HTML string directly into the web browser. And this works as expected. So I'm very fine with this solution. And I think I can skip the demo because the code is totally written. The interesting part of the code is written here on the slide. So now we come to the main part of my efforts, and it's called Living on the Edge, Challenges with the New Edge Browser Control.
Thomas, can I interrupt again? I apologise. We had
Yes.
there was a lot of discussion about IE being phased out, and apparently it's no longer installed by default in new installations of Windows 10 and 11, according to Neil. Most people will still have it. If people haven't got the latest versions of 365 and therefore don't have the Edge browser control, will they continue to be able to use better access charts even if the browser, not the control, the old Internet Explorer browser isn't installed? Did that make sense?
Shall I just clarify that?
Yes.
It's still supported underneath. IE is still supported underneath, but they've basically now, when you do a new install of 10 or 11, it's not present in the menus. It's not available as a browser. You have to actually go into Windows features and turn it on now, physically on the machine, to make it available to the user. Now, I know that the support may still be underneath, but do you need to physically make the browser present on the machine in order to be able to use it within the better access charts?
I don't know this, and I kindly ask you all to get your questions, hold your questions a little bit back, and I will take all the questions at the end. So I'm in the flow for my presentation, and we can discuss every detail at the end, please.
Okay, thanks.
When I started with the new Edge browser control, how to insert it, it was absolutely easy. go to the menu, grab the new control, and put it on a form. Then I had several places where I had a old web browser control, and I want to replace the legacy browser control with the new Edge browser control. And the first time I did, I deleted the old one, and then afterwards inserted the new one, and I spent some time to manage it to be at exactly the same position. And sometimes later I found a hint, and I want to share with you. You can click on the context menu for the old web browser control, use the change to menu, and choose the new browser control. So it's very easy to replace the old one with a new one and have it at exactly the same place. My first problems I had were with some security features. Part one, my first attempt, I loaded my own website into the web browser control, and everything worked as expected. The website was shown in the control. And my second attempt, I used HTTP without the S, so the not secure version, and I've implemented a redirect on my website. So at the end, you are redirected to HTTPS. And the unexpected result, the website is shown in the local browser, but not in the browser control. The solution, yes, you have to use trusted domains, and this is a link to the official documentation. A short demo of my problems. This web browser control has a control source with the HTTPS address. Everything works fine. The second one, don't be scared, opens in an extra web browser, in the standard web browser, and this is not what I expected. And I found a blog entry on the site of Mike Wolf, and there I found the solution. This is the same thing, but I used trusted domains set. And in design you can see I have used the property trusted domains to set, and there I filled in the table I've called trusted domains, and in the table the first column has to contain the trusted domains, and when I inserted that, as you have seen, the whole thing worked as I expected it. The second part of confusion, I loaded a simple HTML file. So current project.path and a file. The unexpected result, the website is shown in a local browser. The solution, I had to prefix the path with the text https://msaccess. So this is the solution, how it works, and it will take up to 3 seconds to load the website. I think this is something has to do with some security settings Microsoft built in. I'm not really happy with it, but that's what we have at the moment. And today, yes, when you try to edit the control source, maybe the prefix is added automatically. And let's have a quick look how this feels. So this is the thing, and you see it works. This is a control source. And when I switch to design view, and we have a look at the properties here, and I open the dialog, you see this is the prefix I've put in. And when I decide to remove the prefix, then it's not working anymore. And now I mixed it up and I messed it up. I have to change something here. At the end, Microsoft is trying to insert, in some situations, to insert the prefix for you. But this is, as you can see by this example by me, not always the case, and it not always works because the string is not inserted properly, but they try to give you a hint what to do. So this was fine for me after I found out where my problem was. Security features, part 3. I wanted to insert JavaScript because the whole better access charts relies on JavaScript functionality. And my first idea was, can I have a JavaScript code inline in the file? This works. Then I use the script tag with the source in the World Wide Web. It also works. Then I use a script tag with a local file. That doesn't work, no action. And the solution again, you have to prefix also in the script tag a local file with the HTTPS with a prefix. And let's have a short look at what I did with these HTML files. I will it open in Notepad+. And you can see this is a very simple HTML file. And here I have a inline function called welcome. And this will do the trick. You will see a hello world. The second one has a script tag I've uploaded this file with the same script up to my web space. This one is a script tag with a local file reference. This one will not work. And at the end, you can see on this with this prefix, the whole thing will work at the end. And let's have a demo, and please trust me, I'm telling you the truth. We waited the 3 seconds for the security reasons. The alert appears, and after I click OK, the rest of the website is loaded and hello world is drawn here in the control. The second time we have to wait. We see this also works and we are fine with this. This one should not work. And this is we have no alert seen, so the JavaScript action was not fired, and this is a problem. And to solve this problem, I added the prefix and the security prefix, and now it works again. So it was a little bit stony way to find out all the situations, and I was very happy that Mike Wolf did his blog post, and I was there and read it several times. So how to load the HTML code? The Edge browser control has no document property, but there is a execute JavaScript method. And this is the code. You can see I define a string variable called JS, and I put in there, it should be familiar to you. We had a document property in the old web browser control, and we now code it with JavaScript to grab the document and then open, write, and close, as you have seen in my other demo, and I came across this thing when I looked at this video where Joe Jimenez gave a demo, and in this blog it's not sharp to read, but when you know what you're looking for, you can see what you want to see. For me, it was enough, and I knew what to do to get it work. Previously, we had to initialize the control with a web page, and today this is no longer necessary. Microsoft is still improving the web browser control, so I also made a blog post on this. I've put the links on the blog posts at the end of the slide. How to load the HTML code, second part. With my first try, the code didn't work. The surprising reason, and it took me a whole afternoon, 5 or 4 hours of work to figure out the constant vbCrLf line feed I used to make the output more readable was the culprit. And the simple solution, when you know what's the problem, I've replaced the constant with a null-string, and everything worked fine. And when I prepared the slide in January, I built a demo for it. And when I tried this demo last week, I've seen this has been updated by Microsoft with one of the last releases. So it's no longer necessary to replace vbCrLf line feed. And yes, there is much change on the web browser control. My third page about how to load the HTML code, integration of script files. We again have 2 variables. The one is how you init the Edge browser control. You can do this via a local file, or you can load primarily an address from the World Wide Web. The second variable is where is your script file located. You can use a local file on your local file system, or you can use an address from the World Wide Web. And when you use an address from the World Wide Web to init the Edge browser control, scripts only work if they are located also in the World Wide Web. A local file would not work. And when you init the Edge browser control with a local file and also a address in the World Wide Web as a location of the scripts are working. So this is my recommended solution. Load a local file into the Edge browser control before you start everything, and you are fine with loading scripts and making them work. Short summary, loading HTML code directly is possible. It's executed via JavaScript. You have seen the code. Works only if the control is already initialized. The thing with the constant vbCrLf line feed is no longer necessary, and you have to take into account how you init your Edge browser control when you want to integrate script files. So my first version with the Edge browser control was the version 3.03. I published it as a pre-release, and yes, I can give you a quick demo to see it works. This is version 3.03, and here we have a Edge browser control. And when I start it, it works. So Better Access Charts now makes use of the new Edge browser control. And this brings me to the last chapter of my presentation. It's called New Kids on the Block. Adjustments I had to make to run Chart.js in the actual versions. And the first idea was, okay, let me try to get Chart.js in version 3 with the old legacy browser control. This was not so successful. After some investigation, I found out the developers of Chart.js, they just stopped working. JS just stopped supporting the Internet Explorer when they released version 3. So the obvious solution, it shouldn't be possible. After a discussion with some web developers, I came up with the idea, okay, when you have a new version of JavaScript and you use some functions that are not supported by the Internet Explorer, you can use a construct. It's called a polyfill. It's nothing else that you build you bind in a library where you have the new commands built by the old possible way to do it. So I tried it, and it wasn't possible to use polyfills to bridge the gap. And at the end, I found out so-called arrow functions were used. Arrow functions are a new kind of syntax, and you cannot use polyfills to implement a new syntax to your web browser control. So at the end, long story short, we have to use the new Edge browser control. There is no other way to make the new versions of Chart.js work with better access charts. So my ways to adapt the new versions. First problem, I used a plugin for colors. So far, I used a plugin named Color Schemes. This is not compatible with the new version 3 and version 4. Many people tried to convince the author of the Color Schemes plugin to improve his plugin, but nothing happened over 2 years. And at the end, I decided to use a new plugin called autocolors. The second challenge, the number of breaking changes in version 3 of Chart.js. There is a migration guide, and this is very helpful. And just to give you an impression, you can see the scroll bar here, and this is a migration guide, and I worked through all these chapters and I'm still not at the end. And yes, it was a long way to figure out all solutions and to find out what is no more supported and find some other solutions to get the same result. I had to rename something and so on and so on. So you see a long list. This was a great portion of work. And then it came to version 4. And version 4, the migration guide is way shorter. You see it here. This is the migration guide of version 4, and this is all. So adapting to version 4 was yes, a little bit like a walk in the park. And I made some changes since I used version 3 and version 4 of Chart.js, and I've listed them here. Some functional changes were made. I've changed the color schema plugin and replaced it by autocolors. The access have new properties. I've implemented step size and the type, so you can have a logarithmic access if you want to. A subtitle was added. This was by by demand. And yes, as you will see in a few seconds, the chart will update without any delay. I worked a little bit on this, and at the end, it worked. The font style as replacement for font as italic was implemented. I've implemented font weight as replacement for font as bold, and horizontal for bar and line charts is available now. And today, Better Access Charts is supporting version 4.4.1, which was the latest version until 28th of February. Then they decided to release a new version, 4.4.2. Yes, the internet is very dynamic. I've looked in the sources and I found out they only fixed some bugs, so there is no need to change anything for me. And I want to give you a demo with everything at the end working and how everything works together. You can create a chart and you have multiple possible data sources, a table or a query or maybe a record set. And yes, there are 8 types of charts available: a bar chart or a line chart. You can have it horizontal if you want, and maybe a stack chart would be nice. And with filled areas, it looks like this. Or you can see a radar chart, also filled if you want to, a donut or a pie chart or a polar chart. And the whole thing is interactive, so you can fade out some of the data sets if you want to, and fade them in again if you want to. Bubbles charts, okay, not very interesting to me, but they are implemented. And let's have a look on the other properties. On the chart level, let's say you want to have a light gray background. It's absolutely easy. And the font color should be, by default, it should be red. This is also possible. Maybe you want to have a subtitle. Yes, I want to show a subtitle. This is a simple subtitle. And here it is. There's a simple subtitle, and you can define where the title and the subtitle are located. And maybe one at the bottom and one at the left. If you want to, you can. The legend is available. You can show a legend or decide to not want to see a legend. You can set the color. Maybe you want to have it in blue and maybe italic. So here it is. And you can set the alignment to start, center, or end. The axis, you don't want to see an epsilon axis, so it's gone. Maybe you want to set the minimum ticks, and I want to have the chart starting with February. So the minimum is February, and here it is. And when you would like to show the epsilon axis again, I would love to see to show you logarithmic is also possible as everything what you want. I tried to build a few of common use options into the solution. You can have data labels if you want to. They are now in here in red, and I would love to change the color to blue. That's a font family to Hungarian. The size should be 16, and I want to have it in bold. So this is how you can tweak the chart to your needs. You've seen the animations, and yes, here is a link to the definition where all of the animations are explained. And you can use out of, I think, 24 or so are implemented. And if you want to have it a little bit slower, you can change the duration. Now I've set 5 seconds. And it's very, very slow. Maybe something like the snail mail. And here we have the sources for the files for the JavaScript libraries. And I always, from my side, always use a CDN, a content delivery network. So I get a version from it, from the library, from the cloud. And here I can change to the latest one, version 4.4.2, and update its chart, and it still works with the latest version of the chart. So this is what's in Better Access Charts by now. And at the end, I want to give you a few resources. On this page, you see some links, many links about Better Access Charts, the GitHub project, some blog posts, the wiki, the roadmap, documentation, and so on. On this side, on this page, on this slide, you see Chart.js, the homepage of Chart.js, documentation, samples, and so on. And at the end, I've put in a slide with links to the Edge browser control, web browser control, and some interesting pieces of knowledge. So this was my presentation about Better Access Charts, the next generation. And I am happy and open for your questions now.
Thank you, Thomas. Sorry it took me a while to unmute myself this time. That was absolutely brilliant. The demonstration at the end is just gobsmacking. What modern charts ought to be but aren't yet. There were a number of questions early on, but discussion I think has already answered some of those. So I'm going to work in reverse order here. APR Pillai asked, is it possible, amongst all the other features you've got there, is it possible to do gradient fills in those bar charts?
By principle, it is possible, but I've not implemented this.
Okay, thank you. So it could be added as a
Yes, it could be added.
By you or by us?
Better Access Charts is free, available for everyone. It's hosted on GitHub and it's under MIT license, so you can do with it whatever you want. And the whole, I've spent much time on this project, but I cannot implement features because somebody is wanting this feature. That's out of my possible time frame.
Thank you, Thomas. There was a long discussion about the 3-second delay that was a feature earlier on in this presentation, and I don't know whether people saw the discussion in the chat there. Are you aware that if you add one line to the host file, you can get rid of the delay in the local files, in loading local files?
Yes. I've read the comment on this on the internet. I'm not sure where, but I tried it. And for me, the delay was broken down from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. So that was not what I expected. And for me, as a developer of better access charts, I cannot control the host file of the user.
Yeah.
So
that's true. I mean,
maybe
I found it
an interesting information, but as you've seen, yes, the charts into better access charts, they were generated and loaded with no delay.
That's true. Yeah. So in a way, it's irrelevant anyway.
There is no need to manipulate the host file for me.
Yeah, I did it for other reasons, nothing to do with better access charts, and it did give me a dramatic improvement. I can't remember where I found out, but I think it was an Access forum. Thank you. Right, if anyone would like to ask a question, would you please turn your microphone on, and I will come to you.
Hi, this is Alex. But yeah, basically we develop with Office 365, so that's fine. But we distribute with the Access 2010 runtime.
Yeah.
So I guess that means we just can't use this, right?
You can't use the latest version. You have to use one of the older versions until just the latest version I developed with, say, the legacy web browser control, which should be the latest, the highest number with the major version 2.
Okay.
But most of the interesting features I built in when I used a better access Chart.js and the version 3 and 4. So there may be a gap. Feel free to try it and figure out what is working for you.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Any other questions? Alessandro, is your microphone on to ask a question or just to help with this section?
No, I was reading the chat. There was a suggestion from Crystal about using sleep instead of DoEvents.
Yes, I will. I did that too, to test if a web page was loaded yet. But DoEvents is so resource intense that the whole process just takes so long because you're doing DoEvents in a loop. And I switched to a sleep, and it happened a lot faster.
Do you know, Crystal, that surprises me because DoEvents takes as long as it needs, whereas sleep takes as long as you define it to, and therefore you could indirectly tell it to sleep for longer than it needs to.
That's true, but here you got to use a little logic.
Right, okay, thank you. Tim.
Yes, thanks. Fantastic work, Thomas. I mean, just incredible how you've navigated creating Chart.js, in a way that's accessible within Access. So very well done. I mean, I did see the previous presentation you did on replay, but amazing what you're managing. What I'm picking up, of course, is that you're having to navigate changes in Chart.js as those developers move that forward, and the evolvement of the Edge browser control, where I had to get round a problem by doing this. Oh, no, I don't anymore because they fixed it. And my concern would be embedding this wonderful work you've done in a production database, installing it at a client where it works, but in 3 months' time it doesn't work. Possibly because the Edge browser control has been updated by Windows Update on their machines, unbeknown to me, and or other possible changes, maybe, internet issues, getting the Chart.js file from an HTTPS source, during runtime. Do you think there is any credible way that the work that you've done could be embedded so that there's no need to access the internet? That the Edge browser control in use is the one installed on the day you put the database on and it's stuck in there, or have I missed something? Because I think that would just be my concern, that something could break simply because of external changes. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, Tim, yes, I totally understand your questions and I totally understand your fear. For Chart.js, there is a solution. You can choose to load Chart.js from a local file. This has to be saved on the user's file system, and I've copied the sources into a hidden table, so you can save it on the file system if you like, if you love to. And that is one solution for your problem. And the second answer, what would happen if Microsoft breaks something? This fear is not only true for the Edge browser control. This is also true for Access itself, and we have been in this situation many times, so there is no real solution for that. Microsoft is Microsoft, and they do what they do.
Yeah, fair point. Thanks very much.
Any other questions for Thomas?
There was an observation by Dale. Thomas, since you are on this chart, I guess it refers when you decided to start the charts from February.
Yeah.
You changed the, Dale said the values for January cells are displayed anyway.
I have to go to the Access, and I want to start with February.
Yeah, and show the values, the labels.
Okay, the labels, show data. Well, yes, you are right. I've here they are. So yeah, maybe I find the time to give this finding back to the developers of this plugin for the data label. Yeah, I don't expect a solution fast to come, but maybe we are on the lucky side of life.
Okay, thank you. Crystal, your hand is raised.
I just wanted to say, Thomas, I wanted to add on to my comment before. I love your work. Just brilliant
Okay.
visualization.
So thank you, Kirsten. Thank you. Thanks again for the flowers. It was a pleasure for me.
Thank you. Thomas, I am so glad we got you back again, and I'm sure there will be a lot more people actually who do take this up in the future. And if I can just share my screen, right, and if I can now just bring over the web page, there's two of them, the one on my website and the official Access Europe website. I will put on Thomas's presentation tomorrow, or as soon as he passes it on to me, and we will get the video of this on YouTube in the very near future, probably early next week. If any of you haven't yet found the playlist for YouTube here for Access Europe, and that will give you viewing of all the last 24 videos that we've had so far. I think we've finished here. Thomas, is there anything else you want to say at this point?
I'm very happy, and it was a pleasure to do the work, and I'm now a little bit relaxed, and I'm looking forward for a glass of wine.
Right, well, okay, so am I as well. So, just now, the transition onto next month. Thank you again, Thomas. No doubt we will call you back again a third time at some stage if you can face it. But next month, we have another former MVP, Dale Fye, who is going to be talking about, well, three things, in fact. For starting with command bars and the Access Shortcut tool, and also a simple audit log that he's developed. Dale, are you ready and available to speak about next month?
Sure. So what I plan on talking about a little bit is how to work with existing command bars, shortcut tools, and then how to use the Access Shortcut tool to customize existing toolbars and build your own from scratch. And then I will talk a little bit about how to use shortcut menus in runtime applications, because the built-in shortcut menus don't work. You have to build your own, and you can just copy the existing ones, rename them, but you then have to add code to force those shortcut menus to pop up in some cases, or to identify specifically which ones should pop up. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then I've got a little demo of an audit log functionality that I've built in for a couple of clients recently. If you're familiar with audit logs, most of the time they involve writing entire records of data into a history table. So basically you have to have the entire table that you're working is your production table, and then you have a history table that has an identical structure or almost identical structure with all of the fields. And in my case, I wanted to minimize that. And with my simple audit log, I use a single table to store just the changes that are made to data in via forms and during upload processes and that type of thing. And I'll talk a little bit about that.
Thank you, Dale. And Wednesday, the 3rd of April, we'll be on UTC +1 because both the UK and Europe go to summertime just before the end of March, as indeed does the US. So only those people who do not change will be affected. Everyone else, it'll be the same relative time. Two other things I just mentioned coming up. We have got in the UK a live UK Access User Group conference on the 9th of April, I believe. You can find the details on their website or on my website. And the following week there is the Access DevCon conference, which will also be, it used to be live in Vienna, that will also be online only, and the agenda for that is already online, and Carl Donnerbauer is taking bookings for that, and I'm sure it will be another excellent session as well. So I think we're all done here. Then thank you again to Dale for introducing next month. Thank you to Thomas. If you haven't disappeared for your glass of wine, please go and do so now. And thank you to everyone. You're also welcome to a glass of wine, and I hope we will see you again next month. Bye now.
Thank you.
Yes.